Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Max Valdes. Welcome to the Max Valdes podcast show, the number one podcast in real estate in the whole entire world. Today, I have a special guest. Not only is he a really, really cool guy and my battle buddy, but he's also a father, he's a husband, he's a real estate investor, and he focuses on Gator lending. So go ahead and let's bring up Freddy Cortez. Hey, Freddie, it's so great to have you here on my podcast today. How you doing?
Doing good. How about yourself, Max?
I'm doing awesome. Appreciate you taking the time. I'm in Los Angeles, you're in Texas, so we had to kind of match up time zones. So, yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for being able to join. My followers, they really want to know what exactly do you do as a Gator lender?
So, as a Gator lender, a lot of my interaction in the real estate area is going to be with wholesalers uh, and helping them with their double closing EMD deposit or earnest money deposit for people that don't understand, maybe not understand what EMD means, and helping them, essentially take their leads into contracts so that way they can move forward with getting their end buyer. If they don't have an end buyer already, I mean, I can assist with that as well to help make connections and bring people to their or to them to their contracts to be able to help them, again, set up another contract in place and close that and get the deal moving to an end resolution.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So, what inspired you to pursue this career path?
So with me, the biggest thing for me right now that I can tell you is I wanted to free myself a lot from the 9 to 5. I've always, as far as I can remember back, that would probably be a story, but as far as I can go back, as far as when I started doing electrical work, so I came up in electrical. I kind of quit school for a while, went to start doing working because ideally, I was always chasing money. So started working, then from there did a few, I did a facility maintenance technician for a company here in Houston. And then from there, I met with the guy on one of our projects that we had there at the facilities, and asked me if I wanted to become an electrician. I was like, what does an electrician do? So he kind of gave me the rundown and moved from there. And I decided that was the direction I was going to go. And from, I want to say that was in 1991, somewhere around there. From there, I just went straight into doing electrical work. And now here we are, 2023. So, I mean, I got some years in that industry and have gone from the ground up. And like I said, I just decided I want to free myself from somebody else's company. I wanted to create my own, have my own, be able to, manage and see and understand how a business works. And real estate has always interested me just due to the fact that it's not going nowhere. I mean, it's not going nowhere. There's always opportunities in it, and there's so many different opportunities that it makes it interesting.
Gotcha. So you started off in electrical and you've been doing that for quite some time. Why would you go into real estate and not start your own electrical business?
Um, my understanding, I guess, is the reason why I would say that. I attempted to start going into the electrical business. I got my master's license. I went and got ready to start doing contracts and stuff like that, and just seeing the fact of the fight and the price gouging and all these other different deals that were going on. I mean, to get a contract when there's 70 other electrical companies just in the Houston area alone, and some that have been around for years and years and years. I was more private and more to myself. I didn't know how to get myself out there to reach the masses.
Hmm.
So it just seemed more of a fight than it was going to be a benefit to me. A lot of overhead costs. There's a lot of initial investment. You're also having to deal with insurance and bonding to where if something happens, you have people's lives and families and stuff like that at stake in your hands. So it's a lot to it.
Okay. Well,
And real
some
estate just oh sorry, go ahead.
yeah, some would say that that's the same thing with real estate, that if you're not a good old boy with a lot of money, that, competition is very hard. There's a limited amount of houses that are for sale and everyone's calling the same leads, right? So how would you compare the challenges of being in real estate versus starting an electrical business?
That is a good question. I probably from my experience what I can tell you is just what I know. So in the electrical field, I mean, like I said, when a company is established and known, they're reputable. I mean, people reach out to them because somebody else has used them, word of mouth, or their advertising or whatever it may be. They have a history with doing the work, completing their that those lines or contracts uh, in good time and good standing, and working with their clients. So as far as real estate, I mean, there's electrical going on everywhere in the United States or in Texas or whatever, just like in California or Los Angeles, for example. But there's also, I mean, there's right now we're in a shortage for houses evidently everywhere. So I mean, you just can't keep up with the market at the end of the day. I guess in real estate, the way that I'm looking at it.
Okay, so you just feel like the market potential is higher in real estate than in electrical field.
Yeah, I from the way that from my standpoint, yes.
Okay, that's great. I appreciate you sharing that insight with me. Well, what challenges would you say that you face as a Gator lender?
Right now is making the connection with people, um, and learning how to put myself in those positions to be able to have that repeat business coming to me and make it, where it starts making sense for what we're doing.
Okay, and why do you think you're having that disconnect?
A lot of it's going to be me. I mean, I'm not. I haven't reached out to wholesalers. I haven't reached out to title companies or any of that yet,
Mm-hmm.
due to wanting to set myself up a little bit better, making sure that I have all the full information. I'm fully educated. Um, I as soon as I joined in, I started trying to do deals, which was fun. It was interesting. It brings your morale up, your hope up, and you're like, well, this would be good because I can actually do a deal like right off the bat. But of course, the first deal that I had, it was backwards.
Mm.
So the person was asking me to fund the actual end buyer for their EMD.
Oh, wow.
So with that, I would have I would have had to wait on the end buyer to fix and flip this property and then put it out on the market and sell it. And essentially, as a Gator, that's not what we're trying to do. Now, not saying that we couldn't do that,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not essentially what I'm trying to do at this moment with Gator lending. My ideal situation is to come in, uh, provide your earnest money from A to B portion of the contract, and have your end buyer come in, close within 30 days at least, and move forward to the next contract or the next wholesale deal or deal with title and stuff like that. So that's kind of like I said, it was just backwards on how that was set up, and I didn't see the I didn't want to take a chance in having to wait that long, especially not on my first deal.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. So, what would you want to have a piece of advice that you would share to like a wholesaler who wants to come to you to get funding? Like, what do they need to provide? What would you say, like, this is going to be a good deal?
So essentially, of course, we need to have all the information on the property. Um, they need to have their deal already in contract, meaning that the seller and the wholesaler already have a contract and agreement. They're just waiting for they're waiting for those funds to be deposited into escrow, into an escrow account. Knowing also having the wholesaler provide what their exit strategy is. And essentially, we would also want our wholesalers to have their end buyer lined up before they even start the process, just due to the fact that that streamlines everything a lot faster. It makes it easier on them, and I mean that's how we get transactions moving from A to B and B to C in time, or as far as from 2 weeks to a month period. And it can happen sooner as well, but all that information has to be there and in place in order for us to do that.
Okay. So if a wholesaler wanted to contact you right now and say, "Hey, Freddie, I need your help earn this money," what's one way that they can get a hold of you?
The best way to get a hold of me would be through my email, and my email address is fc at americananchored.ind.com. Um, Secondly, would be phone call, of course, easy to get a hold of me. But if if somebody reaches out to me, we normally have it a process set up to where we send out a link for them to review some information. If they find that we're a fit for them, then they can set up a link, or they can click on our link and get to our calendar where they can set up a time with us. So once they set up that time, we schedule, that 15 minutes initially is pretty much what it takes. A 15-minute call. We sit down, talk with them, explain everything, make sure that everybody understands the in and outs and what's expected, how we work, and the people that we're looking to work with. And from that point, then we move forward with, trying to help them turn their leads, that they have into actual contracts.
Okay, that's great. So it sounds like you have a very hands-on approach. They get you contact with you, and then there's a couple of steps where you vet the person out before you even just look at the deal. It sounds like, right?
Correct.
Okay, that's great. And why do you feel like that approach is better than just being transactional and just having to fill out a form for the deal itself?
I'm a more personable person, so I like to get a feel for people. I want to hear how they respond, how they react to questions, how they respond to certain instances. So, for instance, I noticed on one of your ads, you have a 5% transact or initial deposit for a earnest money deposit transaction that you charge up front.
Mm-hmm.
We do the same thing as well, but you want to get a feel sometimes for people that how they feel about that. Some people may, well, why, or they want to question it, and just because they see that initially, they may not like that. And you, not saying that you lose a customer, but you could probably explain it in a different format that helps them understand why you do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that just helps eliminate some confusion, because like for me, I can read stuff and take the information in, but I want, sometimes I have a question, and those questions to them are important. And that's what I want to provide. I want to answer those questions for them and essentially give them that information that they need.
Okay, that sounds awesome. And it sounds like you definitely want to be working with these people and building a partner relationship, seems like, right?
Definitely, without a doubt.
That's great. That's good. So shifting a little bit here, a question for you more personal levels. How do you stay motivated to continue this business?
So for me, what I'm doing is, I'm waking up with myself every day and making sure I tell myself, we made this choice to structure this, to get involved in this market. It's not going to be overnight. We know that there's going to be good days and bad days. It's just like every day in life. I mean, you're going to have good days and bad days. That doesn't mean you give up on your life because a situation happened and you may not know how to handle it right now. But once you start, you know, either diving into a little bit more, figuring things out, or questioning, or reaching out to your resources, you get those answers and help you move on to whatever, move through your day. And sometimes you just have to kind of set things aside for a second and prioritize what's important to you. Why are you doing this? What is your end goal? And keep that at the forefront of your mind. I mean, and even though that can still be hard, I mean, because life happens. I mean, life happens every day, all day, no matter what, with or without you, life happens.
Yeah,
So it's
so
better to be
true.
in. involved in it and try to figure it out than just to give up.
Gotcha. So it sounds like you do a lot of self-analyzing and you kind of do a little bit of self-talk and where you basically continue to tell yourself like, hey, we're in this, we're gonna keep doing it no matter how hard it gets, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure people think I'm crazy because I do talk to myself.
Hey, they say that the smartest people out there talk to themselves. If you can't hold a conversation with yourself and you're not comfortable being by yourself, then how are you gonna be comfortable being around other people, right?
Well, my thing is, who am I going to get a better answer from?
That's so true. That's so true. So, how would you say that you do your best to balance your work life and your personal life?
Uh, right now, there's probably not any real balance. You
Okay.
just kind of have to feel it out. I know what I have going on. I know what needs to be done. Uh, I just need to focus on those things essentially and take advantage of those things when it's a good time. First thing, get on it and get those things together and out the way, and then I can focus on, okay, can I slack off a little bit here or there, do I need to go back to some of my training? Do I need to go back to reaching out to my previous clients? You just you always got to keep your mind moving and trying to figure out, the next step. So is it perfect? Probably not. But I mean, we're what we're building up to is to make it to where there's more than just you at the end of the day. Other people are
Yeah.
you're delegating your certain things out to certain people to handle those things for you, so that way that frees you up to be able to do the things that are important to you.
Okay. So you're basically saying right now you're in grind mode and you're sacrificing a little bit of your personal life just to get the ball rolling in this business, right?
Correct.
Okay. So who would you say is your biggest supporter?
Me.
You? Okay, I like that answer. That's
uh
good. That's good. Other than
yeah,
yourself.
I mean, I have to. I mean, and I would think anybody that's doing any business period needs to be their biggest supporter. They need to, even when those times are rough, you need to be able to figure out a way to set that aside for a second and let the other portion of you come out and say, hey, remember why we're doing this. There's a reason behind why this started in the first place. And plus, too, I was thinking about something because we had had a conversation last night about kind of how this podcast was going to go and what direction we needed to take it and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, you don't want to feel trapped in what you're doing.
Yeah.
You don't want this to be another job. You want this to be your your go-to thing. You want to get up in the morning. You want, just like we restructure our lives to work out and to eat correctly and do all this other stuff. We want this to be a portion in our structure that we look forward to going to and knowing that we're going to do something good today, or whether it's our own self accomplishments or whether it's helping somebody else that's in need. Because at the end of the day, a lot of this sounds like it's about money or it's about bringing in an income, but there's a lot of where we're actually helping people move their businesses in the direction that they want to go. We're tying into so many different people and companies and people's lives that you kind of got to remind yourself of that sometimes. This is what you do, but learn how to have fun with it. I mean, if you can't have fun, then you're going to be miserable, and this is going to be another one of those things that you look at as just a normal job.
Yeah. That's strong. That's very strong. I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, you got to be your number one fan. You got to be your number one motivator, right? And at the end of the day, like you said, we're in this business and we're actually helping people, right? We're not just out here taking money from people for no reason, right?
Correct.
Now, some of the mindset shifts that you have talked to me about in the past that you've had, I mean, I kind of already know the answer to this question, but for the viewers, who would you say has been like a big mentor to you and how have they helped you?
Um, of course, I've utilized you. I mean, I've called out on you, I don't know how many times. So of course, you're a big part of. That's even why we've become battle buddies, I guess, in a sense,
Hmm.
is because we've been able to have that open communication and bounce ideas off each other and kind of work things in that essence. So where I lack, I can come to you and have you as a support system to be able to help, fill that gap or whatever for me. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to do that much for you at this point. But hey, it is what it is. It seems like you're okay with it at this point. So one of these days, I will be of more value to you.
Oh, I appreciate it. I didn't expect you to say that. I thought you were going to talk about someone else, but you have provided a lot of value to me. And like I said, I wouldn't even be doing this project if you didn't get hold of me that day. So I don't know what possessed you to just say, let me text Max and see if he's on here. I would have missed out on that, and I would have been searching for a battle buddy, and I would have been in a worse situation. So, you have helped me out a lot, and I just try to reciprocate the value back to you. So, I appreciate that.
And I appreciate you as well. And I think that's what's getting us to this point to where we're at now is that that's why we are where we're at right now is because we're trying to keep in contact. We're trying to keep each other accountable. We're willing to work, through the ins and outs of it. And this is essentially this is what we want. And if it takes two of us from two separate places, two separate entities, two separate ideas, two different mindsets, uh, two different approaches to deals, then it can work. I mean, this just goes to show people because we are two very different people.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
if
there's no reason why you and I should even be talking. You're in Texas, I'm in LA. There's a slight age difference. I'm a little older than you, right? And we got different professions. So what would you say is your approach to collaboration and building strong relationships?
so for me, and I guess I'm gonna have to go back and kind of rehearse this again or rehash this again. It's I'm more personable.
Hmm.
So my deal is directly reaching out to people,
Okay.
and that's the way I do it.
Hmm.
But I mean, and even at that, we wouldn't be talking right now if it wouldn't have been, or we probably would, but it would probably be a lot less. Put it that way.
Hmm.
Um, 'Cause I remember reaching out to you on Facebook, on Messenger, and then from there, me bugging you, hey, can you hop on a call? Just because of that's who I am, and of course I need to figure out how to change that a little bit or make it more streamlined to where it's the set up the link, set up the time where it's organized. It's not just fly off the handle type thing or whatever. But yeah, I mean that's basically where the way I handle it, I guess.
Gotcha. And yeah, I definitely say you feeling free to reach out to me. I would hoping that like I never made you feel like it was a burden to talk to me because I'm always willing to just respond and help you out, and me helping you out also teaches me things, and we kind of figuring this stuff out together. So
Well,
I definitely.
you're a hard guy to get a hold of, Max. I mean, I know you're busy. You got deals and stuff going, so yeah. But yeah, no, you've never left me with that impression or anything like that. I mean, it's good to be able to call on somebody and be able to have them there to help move you in a better direction. And I'm glad that I've been able to provide value to you as well. I mean, because that's what this is all about at the end of the day. And I know, I guess earlier, like you were saying, our mentorship. I didn't answer the question. It was kind of on purpose, but Pace, thanks to Pace and the community for everything that we're doing right now. I mean, we know that we wouldn't be able to, us on our own, wouldn't have come up with these
Hmm.
ideas to be able to connect ourselves this way.
Yeah.
So, without Pace at the end of the day, and without his vision, his mentorship, his structure, his idea with the being a go giver and helping people, we wouldn't have any of this right now.
So
So,
true.
big big props and big ups to Pace for being who he is and giving everything that he's given, and for allowing us to even come in because I mean even on one of the zooms that I was watching last night, I mean this is going to increase
Hmm.
as it gradually grows. I mean every here next year they're going to increase the price for a gator up to 5,900 or 4,900. I could be wrong. I may have misquoted that, but it's growing up.
Yeah.
So we're getting in on the ground floor. We're able to take advantage of learning these processes as he's teaching them. Because when, like he said, when the later gators come in, they're going to be starting at zero, and we're at 5.0.
Hmm.
So imagine how much they're going to need to know and understand, and where they're going to be at when they come in. And that should give us a good reminder of where we're at and kind of humble ourselves too to a point to where we need to be open to helping people, and getting them to where they're more comfortable with what they're doing, or have a better understanding of what they're doing and why they did it. Because some people initially they see something and they just jump on it thinking it's a good thing for them or a good fit for them, and
Hmm.
it may not be, but they may just need that little more information to help them see that it really is. But you just got to keep at it. You got to keep on
Yeah.
plugging
Yeah.
away and keep on moving forward.
Action for sure.
Correct.
Definitely, if you're not taking the appropriate action, then you're not going to get there. And when I saw Gator, I thought it was at the initial, like, start of the wave. The wave hasn't even taken off yet. And so that's a good idea that as we progress in this program and other people come in, we can offer some guidance to them, right? And having technology, I'm in LA, you're in Texas, yet we're doing a podcast together. We can talk to each other, communicate with people. So technology has really changed a lot of the aspect of real estate, where you no longer have to shop in your backyard, whether you're lending or you're buying deals yourself. How else do you see technology changing this industry as we progress with like AI and all things like that?
Oh man, that's going to be a whole. I mean, it already is a whole different story.
Hmm.
And I'm behind on AI. So imagine other people that they're just coming into this and don't. They may get a glimpse of what AI, they hear about AI or whatever from media, social media, from the news or anything like that. But just imagine, I mean, there's so much to it. So if you don't have any idea of how AI can help you and what it can do for a business, any business, period. I
Hmm.
mean, AI is a powerful tool to have, and that's something that I'm lacking that I need to get a little more. I need to get a lot more familiar with. I
Yeah.
need to I need to delve into what AI is, how to use it, how to operate it, what to do with it, or how to implement it.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I already feel behind. So if I feel behind and I'm even in this program that I'm in, imagine what people that don't have any idea of it and what they're missing out on.
Gotcha. So it definitely seems like maybe there's some catching up to do in the AI field, and you don't really see how you can utilize it, but you know it's important, right?
Well, I've seen some of the examples like with Pace and with a couple of other people that I follow and stuff of that nature.
Hmm.
But again, I mean, so like for instance, when we did the Launchpad with or the Own Your Own Future Challenge
Hmm.
from Pace or for Tony Robbins and Dean Graciosi, they implemented flow into their Launchpad because the information is vast and it's instant. I mean, it's there. You ask a question and it's got a way to spit out an answer to you that you could even re-ask certain portions of that same question and get more in depth. And
Hmm.
it gives you a process. It'll give you a list. It'll give you all these different things to be able to utilize and how to implement it into your business, how to look at it, how to structure it. I mean, it gives you everything. So
So
yeah,
true,
I mean,
so
it's
true.
it's Yeah, it's definitely a lot. I mean, and it can be overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, I have a confession to make, Freddie. Since I
What you
know you
got?
know this is my first podcast ever, and I really did not know what to do. So I used AI and I said, give me 20 engaging questions to ask in a podcast interview.
We had
So if
this
it sounds,
conversation.
yeah, yeah. So most of these questions that you're getting are AI created. Now I plan to change and shift and be able to have my own questions, but it definitely does help you get an outline of what you want to do. So,
So how did
it's
you how did you like the questions that it provided or whatever? I mean, were you surprised with it? Were you like, well, this is something I could have come up with, or I mean, I guess help me understand your process, what you did, how you went out to AI and questioned it and asked, you know, how to provide those questions for you.
yeah. I just typed in write me 20 engaging questions that is going to be used in a podcast interview, and it just spit out all these questions, and I read through them, and it doesn't really give you like a flow of how to ask them, and some like one question to the next question would be like completely irrelevant.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of more like a guide where I've been asking you questions, but I'm not just going like one, two, three, four. I'm just going maybe this question here, and then based on what you're saying, okay, well, this question here looks like it'd be a good one for next. And then some of the questions I'm asking you is just gonna be dependent on what you're saying. So I feel like it can help you out for sure. But if I were just to go question by question on this, I would sound like a robot.
Well, but so from the little bit that I know of it too, that was a very just open, broad question.
Hmm.
If you would have pinpointed it down, if I'm not misunderstanding or if not mistaken, you can still pinpoint that down to what exactly we're talking about. So if it's
Yeah, true.
gator lending, if it's real estate, if it's in any other industry, if it's an e-commerce business, whatever the case may be. I mean, there are so many different ways you could have structured that, and with a change of just a couple of words, that would have given you a different output.
True. I could have specified that I'm interviewing someone who does real estate investing, and I could have maybe specified like the tonality of the questions, but definitely something to look into for the next one. And I know a second ago you were talking about like how much Pace has been a go-giver and a helper and all the content he provides. Other than Pace Morby's content, who else would you say has been like a huge influence for you, whether it's real estate or other things, like whether it's their podcast, their book, just any type of content, that value that they provide that has kind of helped shape you to get to where you are now?
Ooh, um, honestly, I've when I was younger, I started listening to Dave Ramsey to get an idea of how to be debt free and all this other good stuff. And for years, I fell behind even on that plan. I think I mentioned like in my post on Facebook, I can be a procrastinator, and
Hmm.
essentially, I I don't want to say I hate that about myself, but I know it has put me in situations to where if I would have just done something a little bit sooner, it would have been a lot better outcome or turnout. So, Dave Ramsey was an initial one that I started following that kind of gave me a little bit of mentorship or whatever from radio, uh, his his radio station.
Hmm.
Um, and of course, I've looked into Dean. I've looked into Tony Robbins. I've never followed anybody directly. I just never have. I've always taken bits and pieces. I For a while there, I was in a probably a low spot in my life, and I started looking at. I don't know if you know anything about The Secret. Uh,
Mm, yeah.
it's basically telling you, you have to manifest what you want in your life. So it's almost
Yeah.
like a dream board or something like that. Um, I got real big into that, and actually one thing did come true about when I started doing that. I had looked at a car that I wanted, and I had
Okay.
been looking at it and looking at it and looking at it and looking at it. I put it up on my screensaver, started thinking, what it would feel like to have the car following through, the videos and stuff like that. Um,
Doing
and
visualization tricks.
yeah, yeah, and essentially in 2015 or 16, I ended up purchasing that car. Now it wasn't under the perfect conditions or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. So
Hmm.
I didn't know how to visualize the rest of that or how to take it, but it was perfect, paid off, fixed up the way I wanted it or whatever. But I was able to acquire one of the cars that I wanted that way, and
Nice. Am I sharing what kind of car that was?
it was a Nissan 370Z.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if I have any pictures on my computer. I'll probably pull them up or shoot them over to you so you can actually see it. I think I went through three different sets of wheels on that car, uh, doing different, uh, like highlighting certain things. I blacked
Hmm.
out some parts and stuff like that to make it more sleek or whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just typical guy stuff.
Hmm.
Sticking money where it doesn't probably belong at the end of the day.
Yeah, but
But it was
you
fun.
you you had the vision of wanting that car, and you somehow, some way made it happen.
Correct.
How empowering did it feel when you finally were like, yeah, I'm in the car that I've said I wanted.
I think at first I didn't realize it.
Okay.
So it was because this what happened when I started manifesting this was years before that.
Hmm.
So when it got to that point, I had kind of probably lost a little bit of my focus or my idea on the manifesting.
Hmm.
But I mean, evidently I knew it was coming. It was just a matter of time.
Yeah.
So at first I probably didn't realize it, but after I did, it was like, this is pretty crazy when you think about it because it it happened. I mean, it
Yeah.
actually happened. So for people to say that it can't happen, I say depends on your focus and your drive on it,
Hmm.
what you're really giving to it, how you're really taking it in, how you're working on manifesting it, what you're doing to keep that a present mind thought. So, I mean, yeah, it was definitely surprising that it could actually come true.
Okay. Well, what would you say the difference is between just wanting something and then just getting it versus manifesting it and then it coming true? What would you say the difference would be for someone who just says like, well, if I want that car, I'll just go buy it.
Um, I think there's a lot bigger value in seeing the fact that you put forth that concentration, that energy, and
Hmm.
how the universe can actually provide that to you. And it can seem quite effortlessly compared to you taking money out of your savings and going to go buy that car when you're probably not ready for it. Because if you
Okay.
don't have those things, there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
Either you mentally or financially or whatever the case may be, you're just not ready for that to have that portion of your life yet. So that's where the manifestation comes in because it's going to reveal certain things to you that you're not seeing. Like, hey, I need to focus on getting my finances in order to get this car. I
Hmm.
need to focus on generating an income or an extra income to get this car or whatever it may be, a business or whatever it is. So, it drives you to continue to grow yourself. And if you're not continuing to grow yourself, then you could get that car possibly, but in what conditions are you getting that car? Are
Hmm.
you stable enough to maintain and hold on to that possession, or are you just you know skating by the a thin line?
Hmm.
Any day you could lose that, and then of course that'll demoralize you and kind of defeat what you thought you could do in the first place.
Okay. Something very interesting you said. Part of that is in the manifestation, you also have to put effort in, right? And you have to work towards your goal. So part of it, you're visualizing it, you're telling yourself you want to do it. Other part of it is you're taking the actions to make those visualizations come true. Versus someone maybe if they just say like, okay, well, this is my dream car. I just found it on Craigslist. It's super cheap. Let me just borrow some money and buy it. And then it ends up not being what they thought it would be, right?
Right.
They're kind of just taking shortcuts to get it versus actually laying out a groundwork and a game plan to achieve that goal, right? So part of it mental, part of it is physical action. So I thought that was super awesome that you share that because a lot of people get that disconnect. I feel that they just want to sit there, close their eyes, and do the visualization part.
The easy
But
part, right?
yeah, but then they're just doing the same thing every single day, hanging out with the same people, not taking any action, not learning anything. What would you say for you as far as like your circle around you has been like the hardest thing to try to like get yourself that little edge to get you where you want to be or get you on the path to where you want to be?
Consistency.
Consistency.
I mean, if you're not consistent with anything that you do, you can't expect the results that you want. And for instance, you'll know this as well as eating. I mean, like if you're
Hmm.
trying to lose weight and you're not eating healthy or changing your diet to a consistent diet that gets you the proper macronutrients, the proper fats, the proper, carbohydrates, protein, it's not going to be, you're not going to have beneficial results. You're not going to see those results, if you're not consistent with it. You eat good one day, the other 6 days you do out, takeout. It's
Yeah,
just not gonna. You're not gonna have the work, or you're not gonna see the results without the proper consistency.
I like that. I like that. That's so true. Consistency is key with anything you do, even personal relationships. The
Oh,
effort
definitely.
you put in the beginning has to be the same effort you continue to put, right? If you go to the gym for a month and you work out and you start to see some changes and then you stop working out, those results are going to go away. And it's the same thing in business, right?
Yeah, those leads, those potential, you know, clients that you had, if you're not following up with them and making sure that they don't need anything else or they don't need a piece of information or help double closing or help funding earnest money, they're going to find somebody else, they're going to go away. They're going to find somebody else that is consistent. So, I mean, that is a very key and important thing.
That's so true. That's so true. You sound like a really awesome guy, Freddie. Like everything you've been sharing, your personal experiences, the fact that you've actually able to manifest certain things, and I'm sure you're going to keep working on that. Well, what legacy are you hoping to leave? Is it a legacy for your family? Is it a legacy for the public? Is it just your personal legacy that you want to have? Like, what do you feel is the biggest driving factor for that and the impact you want to make?
So for me right now, my ideal legacy would, yeah, of course, be to leave something for my family. I mean, I
Hmm.
have two boys. Uh, one's fixed to be 24. My other one is fixed to be 17. So, I want them to see what I've done, and how I went about doing it and where it's led me, and to have them see that they can do the same thing too, and them following that legacy and that footstep. You know, it and some of it's for me too. I want to leave this world knowing that I did something, that I actually worked towards achieving my goals as wanting to be my own boss, wanting to uh, do things on my terms. Because that's what I'm shooting for with this business, is to make my own terms. Work how I want to work from where I want to work. and make this fun, make this interesting, make it, take advantage of what we have in front of us. Because a lot of people say, hey, I think I've heard something like about Donald Trump and how he only paid $750 in taxes for all of his millions and millions of dollars, billions of dollars of business,
Gangster.
stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, and dude, if you get half of that knowledge
Hmm.
to be able to utilize it and run your business to where you're now being, or you have those tax breaks to utilize, and you're out traveling, you're meeting new people, you're going different places, you're taking care of your family, and all of this is operating under your business, and there's still a tax write-off with it. I mean, why wouldn't you want to do that? Why wouldn't you want to
Absolutely.
operate your business like you're living your everyday life? And that's something like I was following up on some of my training today, and actually I was watching Tony Counts from
Okay.
from Pace, I mean, and she just mentioned like Pace is a walking, he's just a walking billboard, I guess, or not a walking billboard. He's a walking event, is what she said.
Mm.
So everything he does has to do with his business.
Yeah.
He walks out the door if it's it sounds stupid, but if he's going out to pick up his newspaper in the morning, we don't have those now, but still, just being crazy. But if he's walking outside his door, he's doing something to make money,
Yeah.
or something that can write off in his business.
Hmm.
So he's perfect. I mean, he's figured out a way to do that. And why wouldn't you want to live your life like that? To where when you go outside, if you're going to go run an errand or whatever the case is, it's an errand for the business that can be written off, and then you run into somebody, and now you're having a 15-minute conversation. You made a new contact that can bring potential business to you in the future or later on. You inform somebody, you help them with some information that they probably didn't know, and then outside of that, now you're able to use that conversation as a portion of a write-off or whatever. Because say you
Yeah.
sat down and you got coffee at
Hmm.
Starbucks, and we know how much coffee costs at Starbucks. It's not the most expensive thing in the world, but when you look at the profitability to what it actual cost is, it's a pretty expensive deal. So
Water and beans and sugar.
that'll be $29.95, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like you mentioned that understanding how to utilize taxes, understanding how to utilize your business to live your life and create financial stability. That sounds really awesome. One of the other things you mentioned, like a name that triggers a lot of people, right? That was going to be Trump. And
Oh yeah.
before he was president, everybody loved that guy. He was the man. Everyone wanted
Oh,
him in his pictures and his videos and his movies, and everyone wanted to be like him. And they made songs talking about how they were balling like him. And then, he steps to the political stage and things get a little hazy, right? We can agree or disagree on that aspect of things. But as a businessman, you and I can understand and respect him at that level. So,
definitely.
how would you handle the criticism of people who want to be negative? Just whether it's this situation here where you mentioned Trump's name or anything else that you got going on in your business.
Well, I'll give you a piece on my personal life on this one.
Hmm.
My mother-in-law, oh my God, she despises Trump. She's just like, that is total bullshit that he can pay $750 in taxes, and us the smaller people are paying, thousands or
Hmm.
fifties. We're in the tens of thousands of dollars
Hmm.
on what we pay in taxes as people that are going to work every day.
Yeah.
And when you see Trump, what do you see? You see him hopping out of his airliner. I mean,
Hmm.
a 757 Boeing plane, and it's only him on it.
Yeah.
I mean, what is there not to be jealous of in a sense? But there's a lot of cost with that. He did that with an intent. There's a lot of
Yeah.
write-off. There's a lot of tax breaks or stuff like that. And us as individuals don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we were actually in, where did we go to? We went to the Smoky Mountains, and took, it was me, one of my boys, my wife, uh, my mother-in-law, and her significant other, and that's a conversation that came up while we're driving through the Smoky Mountains and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's crazy. When you don't understand it, you can see how that was pissing people off.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know what he was capable of doing because he did have, if not him himself, but he had the proper team in place to help him utilize those tax benefits.
Yeah.
So,
It's definitely because the way the game is created that that's possible, and it should piss people off that they don't know that information to utilize it. That's what made me upset. It's like, damn, I need to know how to do that, right?
I mean, 750. That's that's his Starbucks coffee right there. That's his Starbucks coffee. Seven. I mean, it's $750, but if you look at it for him, that's a that's not even a drop in the bucket.
It's not even a fraction.
Yeah, I mean, there's it's just no comparison. I mean, and so how I deal with it is, you got to take people's criticism, their opinion, and if it matches up with what you believe, then hey, good. If it doesn't, hey, good. I mean, what are you going to do? You're not here to convince people of what they need to believe.
Yeah,
You're here to inform them and help them. And if you do that, that's great. I mean, if you can reach those people that you can give that to, then that's great. But there's always going to be people that you just can't reach and give them that information. They don't want to hear it. They're closed off. Or like Pace says, they're knuckleheads. I mean, what do you do with that? You don't focus your energy and your time on that. You focus on where you need to be at, where you want to go, how you want to get there, and that's what you worry about. And keep the people around you that do have that same drive and focus, because that's what's initially going to give you that momentum to continue to move forward.
gotcha.
If you're focusing on the negative, then you're going to get negative. I mean,
True.
it
So
just is
true.
what it is.
So true. I like that response that, at the end of the day, you got to focus on what's going to be best for you. You can't let their negativity tie you up, right?
Correct.
So I stalked your Facebook a little bit. I was scrolling through. I wanted to get a little bit of more information on you. I saw that you like to go hunting. Seen you tag a couple places. You've done a little bit of traveling, right? So that's like the information that you reveal about yourself. What would you say is something that most people wouldn't know that you think would be interesting about you?
Mm, I don't know. I don't divulge too much. Period. I guess I am kind of a person that holds back from giving information.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I guess people wouldn't believe that I ride motorcycles or anything like that. So that's one thing I do have a big interest in.
Mm-hmm.
I love motorcycles. And I do the work myself. I mean, so like,
Mm.
or another thing, I think we had this conversation the other day. You said you were going to go get your hair cut. I cut
Yeah.
my own hair, so
Looks good, by the way.
I appreciate that. I've been, after 20 something odd years, I figured I'd got it down just a hair. I mean, not, it's not perfect or anything like that, but I get by. So it saves me time. It saves me money. And, like you said, it's that feeling of completion. I can do something. I can benefit from it. There's value to what I'm doing to me. And, I mean, it's neat to be able to say that. It's rewarding in itself for me to be able to tell my fans or people that are following me or people that I deal with or you know a conversation starter. Hey, you know what? I cut my own hair. That's probably not the way you want to start the conversation off, but I mean it's interesting and
Oh
people.
yeah.
I've had people ask me, hey, your hair looks good. Who do you go to? It's like I cut it. like, shut up, get out of here. You don't do that. I'm like, yeah, well, you don't believe me, but I sit in my restroom with a mirror and clippers, and I'm in the mirror trying to do everything from, a backwards point of view. But yeah, I mean,
Wow.
it's just, but it's me. That's something about me that I've always done things. I've always done things
Hmm.
for myself to try to make it easier on myself or whatever. Now, is everything perfect? No. I
Yeah.
mean, and I still have bad hair days where I mess up, the line's crooked, or I went up and nicked myself or something like that, or buzzed into a part to where I wasn't supposed to, and so, I mean, but we deal with it. I mean, that's part of life. Accept the good with the bad.
Yeah, absolutely, Freddie. Well, I appreciate your time. We got a little bit more of an insight to you, and it seems like you really got your head on straight. You motivated. You want to make this business happen. You're personable. You're a likable guy. I don't see why any reason why you wouldn't be successful, other than like you pointed out the procrastination factor, right? Which is why you and I are battle buddies, and I'm gonna be helping push you, and you're gonna be helping push me, and we're gonna be getting this thing done together, man. And I'm gonna be heading out to Houston, and I'm gonna better be paying a visit to you.
Yeah, I would definitely appreciate you coming down here to be able to get a chance to see around, and plus too, like I told you, man, Las Vegas is expensive. I mean, in our opinion, from people that are here from Texas, and like you said too, I mean, the cost in housing is 10 times different.
Yeah,
So for square footage, I mean, you just can't touch the market over here from what you could touch in Las Vegas. So I mean, in California. So Los Angeles. My bad. Sorry, I'm all over the place. But
one of those lost.
yeah, well, one of those places over there. So yeah, definitely, you're always more than welcome here. All we communicate enough to where when you get down here, I'll pretty much know what's going on, and we can roll out some red carpet or something for you there at the airport, and
Beautiful.
invite you into Houston with style or something. We'll figure something out.
That'll be sick. That'll be sick. That'll be a good content piece right there. All right, then, Freddie. Well, I appreciate you for coming on my podcast, first guest ever. It's an honor, man. And we're gonna keep doing this together, and that's a wrap.
I appreciate you for having me, and guys, thank you, and hope to see you again soon.
Beautiful.